Stop recording.
No, we don't want to record nothing. Oh, hello.
Okay. All right, thank you all for joining us tonight. We're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. And all right. So Ben, do you want to go ahead and do roll call?
Yes. Doug Mendenhall here. Michaela Hammerson.
Here.
Kathy Carreri.
Here,
John Still. Here. Lisa Lanza.
here.
Todd Vaughn. Not yet here.
Todd is not here yet.
He will be here in just a minute. He just
Just got the link.
trying to find the link and I just sent it to him. So,
All right, so
all right, perfect.
spirit.
All right, for those of you online, we can go ahead and stay muted, but we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance. Lisa, do you wanna lead us?
Sure.
I know, we can all, not knock each other over. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, all right. Moving along, let's see if we can keep this moving along. Consent agenda. We have our October 7th board meeting minutes, our October 4th board meeting minute, and our September 2024 preventative maintenance report. Are there any changes needed or corrections to the two drafts of minutes?
There's some.
Nope.
I think mine already got addressed, so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. That was a good catch. Thank you. Yeah. All right. No corrections to the minutes. All right. Sherry, would you be able to speak at all to the preventative maintenance report?
I think Andre might be online. He's our operations
is he?
supervisor downstairs. Yeah, I asked him in case you guys had any questions about it. This is not my expertise, so.
Yeah, Andre, I don't know if you want to come off of mute and go over the preventative maintenance report.
Okay, just for the month of September and August and September, all maintenances were done on all vehicles. None were late. And we are about 97% on lifts.
Any questions?
August was at 92.27 on, just towards the goal, and then 92.6 on September. And then, like you said, 97% on the list.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we are going to need a motion to accept the consent agenda if there are no corrections.
So moved.
All right, Kathy made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Doug made a second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? None. All right. Let's keep this moving, you guys. This is great. All right, do we have Jennifer Boardman online?
Looks like it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Jennifer. We have you actually pretty high on the list today, so you don't have to wait till the end.
Perfect.
Yeah, what do you have for us?
Just want to really encourage you all to keep moving forward on the funding because you're less than a month away from the due date on the 5311, 5310 for the next biennium. And so you need to make sure that you get that stuff going and the meetings held and proper postings and everything like that. And then the next funding that's going to be coming around is the STIF funding, and that has to be turned in by the 16th of January. And you are required to have 2 meetings of your stiff stack committee prior to that. And your stiff stack currently states that you have 12 members. And so you have just a couple options. You can either modify your bylaws, or you can come up with the 12. Otherwise, you'll be out of compliance on that piece. So those are a couple
So-
things to think about.
Jennifer, I do have a question about that because there were actually what it appeared to be were 14 members listed on our website for vacancies for the Stiff Stack Committee. And so I wondered if that was possibly an old number, the 12. Was it increased to 14?
No, it should just be your bylaws. As I've seen, the last version of your bylaws that I saw actually stated 12. So that would be something y'all would need to find out, is if those are your most current bylaws. You can have more than what you have listed in your bylaws, but you have to have at least the minimum. And then for the rule itself, the minimum is 5. So you would probably want to word your bylaws to state at least 5. But you could have more if you wanted them.
Okay, so the other question that I have about that is I updated our website for the Stiff Stack Committee for all the vacancies that it appeared that we had. And they were listed to be very specific, like service provider or represents
Right.
someone with disabilities, represents whatever, just whatever category. But when I was reading the requirements for the Stiff Stack, it looks like you just have to be a person that has one or more of those qualities. And then there are only, I think, 3 positions that are actually required.
You have to have at least 5 committee members.
Well, I mean,
including- yeah.
there are 3 categories that are required. And I think
Right.
it has to be somebody
would
with
have-
disabilities.
Yeah, I can go ahead and send you a list of the required ones. There are 14 categories, 14 or 15 categories, but not
Mhm.
all of those categories have to be filled. There's just a certain number, and it's either 3 or 4 that have to be.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So, yep. And it is spelled out in the rule which ones you have to have filled. But I can send that to you as well.
So I can then, I mean, we could go back and we can just modify those vacant positions where they can just be any of the, any of those categories, like whatever they meet within there. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to make sure that all 12 of those are filled with a different type of category, right?
You want to have as much diversity as possible on your board and covering as many of those areas that are important to the rule. But you do have to at least hit those the target ones that are required. And having a board of 12 people, that's a lot. I mean, I don't know even if like TriMet Lane have that many people on their board, their Stiff Stack board. So it's a pretty high bar to hit that many people. But if you have them, that's great. The more the merrier.
Okay. We do have 3 new applicants for Stiff Stack Committee tonight too, so we'll be talking about that in a little bit, but we will meet that requirement for the 5. So.
But
is
you
that
would
why-
have to change your bylaws because your bylaws state 12. So that would be what you would have to do in order to be compliant, is to
And
change
so-
your bylaws to 5.
That's
That's
our
what you're
Stiff
looking for.
Stack bylaws, correct? That's not
Correct.
Right.
the Stiff Stack bylaws.
Yep.
Okay. So we may need a motion to amend that. I need to find out where it is in here. Oh, right here. Okay. Did you have anything else for us, Jennifer?
Nope. Just a reminder that the OTA conference is next week in Seaside. Bring your rain gear. It looks like it's going to be an atmospheric river coming our way. So time to be in classes.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer, just so you know, I started the 5310 and 5311 applications. I've fed in a bunch of information. And I have a meeting with Melissa Metz at Coos Bay this Friday.
Cool.
And she's gonna take a look at them with me and just give me any advice or pointers, so.
Cool. She's a really
yeah.
good one to talk to because she's been doing it for years. So
Yeah, that's
Good
why
person
I
to
figured I'd reach out to her and we're gonna have a meeting on Friday about them.
perfect.
Poor Sarah keeps falling on.
Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and move on to number 6. Sherry, this is all you, financial report.
First of all, does anybody have any questions about what you received?
Let me get to it.
Okay.
A lot of numbers.
It is a lot of numbers. So the balance sheet is a quick snapshot. Our current assets are 642,073.31. Current liabilities, this is at the end of September,
Mhm.
it was 57,205.14 for a total equity of 584,868.17. Our quarterly P and L, overall, our net income was in a negative. It was 162,817.50, but it just includes the income and the expenses for July, August, and September.
Mhm.
And generally in the first quarter on our stiff funds, we do see a little bit less than what we normally would get for quarters 2, 3, and 4. So hopefully that's gonna even out a little bit, but overall, if you count all of the income and all of the expenses from the day the district was started to now, we have let's see, we have 500, we ended September with 584,868.17.
Mhm.
So, we're not in the negative overall, but just for the quarter we are.
Okay.
Then there's the variance report, which gives any, $500 over, under for the month and if we were over, under for 5,000 in the year to date. So there's some information there in the bank statement. The ending balance on the bank statement. Ending September was 459,289.85. And I have submitted the quarterly reports already. I have a couple of attachments that I originally did the reimbursements for August only because we already received July. And so I need to update a couple of attachments for Jennifer, but as soon as I get those in, I will attach the August and September attachments. But the reports are done.
Perfect.
And then the NTD report was due on the 15th, and that has already been submitted as well.
Yes, I heard you got that in early.
And then I received something on the charter bus, Jennifer, and I submitted that as well.
Yep, that one is one of our easiest ones to do. Yay.
Yeah, I didn't
Yes.
realize that if we, didn't have charter bus that we still had to do it, so, but I went in and took care of it, so it's done.
Perfect.
So I think we're all caught up. And then we finally received our annual audit for our ending period of June 30th of 2023. So this is the one we've been waiting on for the auditors. And we've just been waiting on the auditors to get it finished. We had 4 findings last year. We had 1 less finding, so we had 3 total findings.
Mhm.
But the auditor believes that I'm probably gonna be wiped out on this next one, because I already had implemented a lot of the changes that they were asking for.
Yes.
And a lot of them had to do with using a spreadsheet that they
I
didn't want
know.
us to use,
Yeah.
so
I
we're
saw
not doing that anymore.
Perfect. Well, and if we could get some funding for that software,
Yes, that would be
that
most
would
helpful.
be the best case scenario. So we're still.
So it's a lot of reading material, but I mean, I think like I've done 4 audits now since I've been here, and we've gone from like I don't know, 14 to like
Mhm.
7 to 4, now we're
Yeah.
down to 3, so we're slowly chopping away at all of the issues.
Good.
Yeah, so hopefully this next one will be.
In
even
the
less.
right direction.
Yes.
Moving in the right direction.
For
All we
sure.
can do. Perfect.
It's the single audit portion, which is the federal clearinghouse. It's for the federal monies. That's where the heavy audit comes in.
And are they now starting on the next one?
They are, I've been trying to, now we have to get an RFP posted. We should.
Actually, thank you. Add it to my list of
Yes, we
RFPs.
should get that, an RFP. I mean, the audit is due in December. And I don't know,
We can get that RFP posted pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We can use the RTAP to get,
so I'm hesitant to start sending things to the auditor too much, because I'm not sure that we're gonna be using them. And I don't
Yeah.
want them to say that they started working on something and then try to charge us for that work, so.
Sure. Yeah. Do you think you can help, put that together?
With the RFP,
Mhm.
probably, I've not done one, but. Not ever had access
He
to them.
just did one of his fir-
I know we
his
have
first
something on our
one, so-
website,
Yeah.
that,
There's
So-
a program in RTAP that has
Okay.
an RFP builder in it.
mhm.
Mhm. Which is very helpful.
So yes, maybe if I have questions, Doug, can I pick your brain or?
Sure.
Okay,
I'll tell you what I know.
okay.
This is, I hadn't done an RFP before, yesterday.
I'm sure I can probably
You
maybe
did.
reach out to like Scott Chansey or Melissa at Who's Bay and also ask them, so I will do that as well.
What is going on this video up here?
I have no idea.
Which user is that?
Yeah, I
How
don't-
you make
Joyce
find
King.
something.
I think she's holding something.
Yeah,
in
she's,
her web.
Oh, yeah, it might
Probably,
be like
yeah.
this.
Because she doesn't know how to sign it.
okay.
shut.
Maybe. Can we,
Shut off the
have
camera.
the board be center view?
Yeah.
There we go.
there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Maybe it was a secret. message.
So, yeah, I can reach out to a couple other agencies and I'll go to RTAP and see what I can find out. And
I can send you the link that.
Yeah.
Can't remember what it's called. It's,
Login. I can send the link too, but
Okay,
I thought there was a login that you needed.
there is.
Okay, and did you just set up a new account?
Can't remember if Becky gave me her login credentials to get in there.
Becky
Okay.
might have set you up with your own credentials, because I think she
She
had
might.
access to do that.
You might have.
Andre might, and Lisa, I'm not sure if they have access to RTAP and can set people up. Andre, do you know if you guys can set people up? Because I know you do training out of there.
I do not have access to start somebody, but I've done a lot of the training with it.
Okay. That's something that we'll have to look into as well to find out how we can get access with Becky not here.
Because
Okay.
we have the RTAP training and also the vector training as well.
Is Jennifer still on here? Does she know?
Should have, there should be, I just signed on. I didn't have to have a code or anything like that when I signed up for National RTAP. Because
Okay.
it's a free service and you guys are a transit agency, so if you can't, Doug, just let me know and I can get you in touch with the folks at National RTAP.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Perfect. Yes, thank you so much.
That is correct on the RTAP. We basically started with a username being their email address, and then they set up their own password. The only training that we don't have access is to the UPTD vector training.
Okay, and I think that might be through special districts, so I will reach out to them and find out, how we can get access to that. And,
Okay.
Okay, so,
oops, another one. Oops, Joyce fell off, so.
all right. Okay. Are you done with the finance?
I
report?
think so, unless anybody else, if you have any questions, other questions about the financial reports or the audit. We have a lot of reading material for your enjoyment this time.
Okay, all right, we're gonna go ahead and move to public comment, and I'm sorry, you guys, but I can't turn my neck, so. Gotta turn around and see, okay, we have Steve Hammerson, Eileen Lavington, Lisa Miller, and Kat Stone. On the agenda, or for on agenda items only, do we have anybody wanting to provide public testimony online? You could just unmute and identify yourself really quickly and the city you're from. No? I'll give it a second, and sometimes it takes people a second to unmute, so.
Find it.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any public comment online, so we will start with Steve Hammerson.
Do I need to get close to a mic or?
No, I think it can pick you
Yeah.
up as long as you're.
Yeah.
Right there, and just state your name for the record and the city that you're from.
And are you starting timer or? You guys have the timer?
If somebody could do it, yeah, it is 2 minutes.
Is it 2 minutes?
Sherry.
Okay.
So I just want to thank the board for giving me an opportunity to speak today. And I only got about 2 minutes, so I'll keep it about as short as possible. I just wanted to take a minute to commend John Still, Kathy Carreri, Todd Vaughn, and Lisa Lanza for stepping up and fighting to fix this district, make it fiscally viable and compliant with ODOT regulations. I know that you all understood that there was a great undertaking and time commitment and effort in this volunteer position. And there's a lot of complex issues that all of you need to address. I recognize that a lot of the issues that the directors are facing today are an ongoing buildup of longstanding issues. And I commend all of you in your effort in undertaking, fixing and improving this district. What most people don't understand about a board and a GM or a superintendent relationship is that you need a functioning board and a working relationship with the GM or superintendent to get out of the way of the district doing its work. You have to be capable of feedback and humble when things don't go in your individual way. You as a board are one unit, and your unity and humility are qualities that put my faith in this board succeeding. I'm personally on a school board that's very high functioning. Our board has a fantastic relationship with our superintendent. And our ability to be transparent, open to feedback, and work together as a unit creates amazing progress that ends in our superintendents from other districts coming to our superintendent and basically asking how we get some of the stuff we get done in our district. I've heard stories about the school boards that will argue and knife each other over the color of crayons while their children suffer in the district. With our school board so high functioning and avoiding such trivial issues, our kids are greatly benefiting from that relationship. I just want to let you guys know I have great faith in you, and I think in a few months' time, the employees of UPTD and the writers of UPTD will benefit from your high functioning collaboration with each other.
Thank
And I
you.
know I went over and I'm sorry.
Can you state your name for the?
Oh,
record
name
and
is
your
Steve
city?
Hammerson, Roseburg.
Perfect. All right, next is Elaine Lavington.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Elaine Lavington and from Roseburg, Oregon. It was brought to my attention there were some issues with the current board. And so I attended my first meeting via Zoom. And so I witnessed the interviews of the people that were interviewed for the board. And the two women that were interviewed first were more qualified than the two that you selected. So I had some concern there. I would think you would want somebody with some experience versus somebody that doesn't have experience. And then my other concern is Ben Edel was selected. Well, for one thing, we were locked out of the building for the meeting last week. And I don't know why we were not allowed to be here for the interviews, but we were locked out in the sun. And I had two elderly people that were with me that were locked out as well. And then they came out and said that the last interview won't be till 4:30, so you might as well just leave because you're locked out. And then, so Ben Edel was selected. And my concern is, what if Ben Edel gets the state position that he's running for currently? And Ben Edel has no experience in transportation as well. And that's my comments.
All right. Sorry, I have to see who's next. Lisa Miller.
My name is Lisa Miller and I live in Roseburg and I really just have a question. I know quite a few people that use our public transportation. So is it in danger of being shut down or anything like that? I didn't know if you guys would answer my question or not.
Generally, public comment is not a conversation between the board and the audience, and I will say that we are currently discussing how we save the transportation district. And that's what our last several meetings have been doing, going back to about what month, Sherry? Maybe June?
Yeah, even probably before that, because we, with the budgeting and all that, probably March.
Yes.
when RLS
So,
came up.
We are not in imminent danger of the district shutting down. However, it's important that we get on a good track and we're working very hard with ODOT. The volunteers on this board are putting lots and lots and lots of hours in to make sure that that is accomplished. And this is a volunteer position.
Thank you.
Could I add one thing? Is it okay? Even though it's not discussion?
Let's
Yeah.
get through public comment, and if the board would like to state anything afterwards, we can do
All
that.
right.
Capstone.
Hi, my name is Kat Stone. I'm from Green District and I'm a former member of the board. I was supposed to be in a meeting for the Stiff Stack Committee today. We had an agenda, but she did send me a copy of not the Bill of Rights.
The bylaws?
Yes, the bylaws. And then it did say also, so I noticed that we were supposed to have 12 people and we haven't had 12 people since I got sworn in, and we had an abundance of people, but they've fallen away. And, so I think we only have 4. And the other thing was the meeting was in disarray because nobody knew it was happening or whatever. And we also have a November deadline, according to the email that I got, that we're submitting the report. So I wonder how we are going to get enough meetings in and get more members on the board and get them up to speed and know the kind of things that we need to work on. I mean, I know my position. I'm the environmental advocate. So I don't know what you're gonna do, and that's just my question. I really need to know how we're gonna meet a November deadline for a January deadline with 4 people when we need more than that. And that was just a question and a statement and my heart.
Thank you very much, Kat, and thank you for all the time you've given to the district.
Sure,
Um,
Jennifer had comment on that.
Oh, wait, hold on, we got someone waiting too.
just to address the concern there, we do have the Stiff Stack Committee on the agenda. We do have 5 members right now, or I'm sorry, we have 4 members right now. We have 3 people who are applicants, so we will meet that 5 minimum likely today if those additional committee members are added. There is something else that I want to address really quickly to one of the comments that was brought up. The meeting where the interviews were done, they were done for a district employee that is not allowed, you're not allowed to do those interviews in public. They're an executive session. It's the same way that a school board, for instance, would interview their superintendent. It is not done in public. It is done in executive session, and that was proper. The people who came to the building to be part of the meeting were offered space to sit in a break room that's down the hall, or that they could go out. We can't have the public sitting directly outside the boardroom because there is a gap in the door where people sitting outside the room can hear everything that's going on in this building. So the people who were in this building were given 2 choices, that they could move to a different area of the building and stay inside, or that they could go outside during executive session. So I just wanted to clear that up. Kathy, you had something to say?
Well, I would just like to, I guess, alleviate some of the people's concerns to assure the public that the people on this board are committed 100% to not only salvage what we came on and took on as a mess. We are here to salvage it, and we are hoping to make it the guiding light of public transportation in Oregon or the whole US. We are gonna make it better. Thank you.
Do you want me to read Jennifer's, it just talks about the stiff stack.
Oh, yeah, that would be helpful, because I think we're moving on to that.
Jennifer says, to be qualified to serve on the advisory committee for a qualified entity that is, transportation or mass transit or county, or on a joint advisory committee in which a transportation or mass transit district or county participates, an individual must, be knowledgeable about the public transportation needs of the residents or employees located within or traveling to and or from the transportation or mass transit district or county. Notwithstanding other provisions of this rule, if a qualified entity is a mass transit district, a transportation district or a county, then its advisory committee or the joint advisory committee in which it participates must include at least one member who is a member of or represents each of the following three groups: low-income individuals, individuals age 65 or older, or people with disabilities, and public transportation service providers or nonprofit entities which provide public transportation services. And then she lists the OR.
Perfect.
Or
So-
the OAR.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That same information is also posted on our website. So that's consistent with what I was reading. So thank you for confirming that. Okay,
Do you have any more public or no?
no, that was it?
Can I have a rebuttal to your comment?
Nope. Sorry.
We've
All
not
right,
offered a
no,
price in
I'm
the
sorry,
program.
public comment is closed, no rebuttals. All right,
For transparency, just give.
all right, we're gonna move on to old business, status of the Dial-A-Ride contract. So we did, receive an update from our attorney today. This has been ongoing. There's been some back and forth between Dial-A-Ride providers, wanting to amend some changes to the contracts. And then it's gone to ODOT, and then it's gone to our attorney, and it seems to be in this cycle of sort of doing that. I did get an update today, and we are needing to clarify the exhibits that need to be attached to the contract. And so now that is sitting over with you guys, Sherry and Ben.
You and I'll work on that tomorrow.
So
I can, yeah, we'll work on it tomorrow. We'll figure out what exhibits
okay.
those contracts originally had attached to them.
Okay, and the board had previously approved that when these contracts are ready, if there are no significant changes that fundamentally, change the contract, that we can go ahead and move forward with the Dial-A-Ride providers so that we don't need to bring it back here for another vote. Obviously, we're not quite sure what those exhibits are, but they're going to probably be pulled from prior contracts. So our attorney had already stated that he didn't think there were going to be any major fundamental changes that would require coming back for board review. So once we put those exhibits together, if he's still confident that there aren't any, real fundamental changes, we'll allow the general manager to just move forward with those contracts.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure that ODOT sees those exhibits too, because they were
Yeah.
asking for them, so.
Yeah. Round and round we go.
Yeah, but I'll work with Ben on it. We'll get it
Okay,
done. I'm
perfect.
hoping to get this done before the end of the week, so.
Yeah, you knock it out.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so. So we had 8.1, we had requested action to move forward with contracts, but I don't think we're gonna need a new motion at this point because we don't have the finalized contracts. And like I said, I don't think that there are fundamental changes that will require a vote. We don't need a motion on that one. Okay, the IT RFP, we can thank Director Mendenhall for putting this together for us. Yeah. This is this is an ongoing conversation. The public's aware. We have some RFPs that need to be completed for services in order for UPTD to be in compliance. We have quite a few contracts that are going to be going out for bid in the next couple months as we work through this. The first one that we posted on our website is an RFP for IT services. we know that there is some significant interest, so. We will wait to get those bids, and I believe. We are posting those for 14 days, is that correct?
Correct.
The RFP.
Nobody clarified with me that we could do anything shorter.
Yeah.
So
So
I
14
projected it out
days.
14 days.
It was posted on Saturday, which was the 19th, so 14 days from there. Now the question is, whether or not it needs to come back to the board for selection of the contract, or if that is something that the general manager will take care of. So we could probably use some input from ODOT.
I think it depends on how much the bids are gonna come in at.
Okay.
It's really gonna kind of determine.
I think in general, we pay around 30,000 a year for the contract.
ODOT will have to see how we select. I believe, Jennifer, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that ODOT's gonna have to see. The whole process. I think they're gonna have to see, I don't know if they need to see the bids, but they need to see, I think, how we. Came up with how we decided who we were gonna go with, and then they have to see the contract. Before we send it off. Once we develop the contract, they have to
Mhm.
give their blessing on it. Is that correct, Jennifer?
Correct. I can send you the whole process that you have to have, and you have to have it in your procurement file. You have to document everything that you're doing in your procurement file.
Yeah. Okay, so, Jennifer, is it gonna need to come back to the board after it goes to ODOT for sign off?
You would need to look in your procurement policy to see what it says.
Okay. Well, we are looking at the procurement. So, okay, perfect. So, we don't need any action on that. That was just informational only. And then, where did my agenda go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our stiff stack committee applications. We have 3 applicants. And let's make sure we all have them in the same order. Let's do Donna, then JC, then Justin. Okay. All right. Hi, Donna. All right, then. Welcome. Do you want to just go ahead and tell the board a little bit about yourself? We'll go through each person. If the board has any questions, they are welcome to ask, and then, we will.
What do you want me to say?
Just tell us a little bit about
About
yourself.
myself?
Yeah, and why you're interested.
Okay, about 4 years ago, we moved off of Roberts Creek Road, up behind where the Chevron gas station is and what used to be the A&W is now a Chinese, no, I'm sorry, Mexican restaurant. And so we are literally up the street from, the Head Start, up in the Highlands Vista. 4 years ago. My husband and I are both disabled veterans. We both served over 30 years in the military, and our son, doesn't drive. And so Justin goes to work 5 days a week here in town, and that bus service he has been utilizing for the last 4 years, picking up there at the Chevron and going into town to be able to get to work. And then, the schedule changed. So it's a little bit more difficult to get back because it doesn't run after 5:30 in the evening or something like that coming back. So that's been very difficult, but we've worked around that. The bus service has been so important to people in the neighborhood. Both there where we live in the Highlands Vista, those senior citizens who are way older than us, and we're over 55, to be able to use that bus when they need it, and also the people across the street in Green. So I've been really keeping a close eye on that. I served in the military for 35 years. I'm a Vietnam era veteran, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and 9/11. I retired in 2015. I went to UCC as a non-traditional student and saw how the bus service was so important to some of those students. From the UCC, so important for them. I had a car, but so many of them didn't. So I, from 2005 to 2007, was able to observe the importance of the bus system for those students, to get back and forth from town. I sat on the Glide School District Finance Board, the Glide School District for 1 year. I was a senior vice commander of the VFW in Roseburg for 7 years, the junior vice of the district. I spent 1 year as a senior vice. I sat on a board with one of the veterans organizations as a board member. For 2 years, I was a senior vice in Winston, a second in charge of the VFW there. I have been involved in many volunteer committees. I've raised all 5 of my kids, ages 32 to 47, but volunteerism is so important. And I've got a little bit of time on my hands now, and I wanted to step forward because I'm so grateful that you guys are here, that the bus service is here for our community. And I feel it's about time now that I step up and I try to help wherever I can.
Thank you so much. That was very good. Does anybody have any questions for Thomas? No questions? Okay. JC, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Sorry, I can't turn very well.
My name's Casey Smith. My given name was James Charles Smith, named after my grandfather. I go by JC because there was a bunch of Jims on the same fire truck and 4 lights hit the captain in the face at the same time on a fire. So he said, you gotta do something about that. And I went by JC ever since. Anyway, also, that was in my junior year of high school. After that, I did 35 years, enlisted the same year as that, and correction, 30 years. And I followed in the same footprint she did, basically. Traditional student after we got out, and we both went to a nursing program and stuff. But I've always been trained as a team player, like to be a part of a great team, and like to get back to the community. We have a lot of time on our hands, so I figure I could put out 200% to assist this board and move on. Is there any questions?
No, are there any questions for JC?
Did you two lead the service?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I
Fort
wouldn't,
Lewis.
we met at Fort Lewis, but I wouldn't date him until after he got out of the military in 01, and then we dated and got married. So he was my captain. I was his first sergeant and his talk NCO of communications and battlefield simulation. Logistics, we're into logistics and finance. I was a finance officer also in the military as well as a licensed nurse. So I did both finance and nursing.
Yeah, so primarily, like in how it relates to this operation is, I've had a lot to do with logistics, supply, personnel, and safety, and keeping things together.
Good skills. Yeah, those are good skills. And so far, just so you guys know, the requirements, we do have a medical open, a veteran, and also people representing disabled people.
And we're all 3.
I know.
He's 100%, I'm 90%, so.
This was perfect. All right, any other questions for JC? Okay, Justin.
Yes. Hello, my name is Justin. Me and my folks originally came from California State for about 2 decades ago. We moved away from there because of the traffics and all the constructions and crime rates. And we came out here just to be in support about the community and helping out the people we know so far. As for me, I graduated from Roseburg High in 2012 with a modified diploma because of my disability, learning skills, because I'm improving with the Unqualified Disability Network that helped me with my reading and writing skills so far. And then during that time, I stayed home and helped out with my folks since they both military retired. And then I had to help some of my neighbors, even a group of my family members. Then after that, I went to UCC College, but then when the COVID hit, I just stayed home and not go back to college because of all the shots that I'm unvaccinated. So I don't take the shots.
He's an Eagle Scout and he just got his black belt last week.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
he's a
I made
black
the
belt.
Eagle Scout back in, I was 18 or 19 years old.
Uh-huh.
Then once that's done, I decided to just retire from scouting and help out with my folks. And then after the COVID ended, I helped with the wildlife safari, working volunteered, only on Mondays, but then my schedule changed to my part-time job at the News Review. So I worked there for the past over a half a year so far. And then I made the black belt at the Roseburg Martial Arts Academy. So the reason why I want to be in this community group is to help out ideas, what we do for the people who couldn't afford bus pass tickets or afford bus ride, those were like homeless or other people. I just want to do the best I can.
Yeah, so much. Any questions for Justin? No? All right. Thank you all for your interest in this committee. We're gonna go ahead and take a vote. Is there a motion to accept one or all of these members to the SIP staff committee?
Make a motion, we accept all.
I second.
Yeah, all right, that was a motion by John and a second by Kathy. All those in favor of adding them to our SIP staff committee, say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Oh, is Todd? on
yeah,
there?
he's on there.
There he is. All right, well, congratulations, you guys. You are now on the SIP staff committee, so we will send you information on the next meeting.
Yeah.
There are 2 more meetings that have to be done before
2 more
November or
meetings.
something, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so we originally had some meetings scheduled for November 4th and then whatever the Monday is after that. The 4th and the 11th, I believe.
Okay.
So we were supposed to have a meeting today and that didn't happen. So we're gonna have to get one on the schedule
Yep.
ASAP. So
And okay, this actually brings up a good point that I want to talk about in the same section. Our bylaws do state that any of our committees have an ex officio member from the board as part of that committee. That wouldn't be a voting member, but that's somebody who sort of helps make sure these things happen, that we do have the meetings and things keep going along. Do we have anybody on the board that would be interested in serving in that capacity?
I just hesitate because of my
Yeah.
situation at home.
keep in mind, the stiff stack usually only meets a couple times a year. I mean, it could meet more, but it's generally 2
Yeah.
to 3 times.
I'll do it if you don't have any other volunteers.
And, or maybe we can
Volunteers.
kind of, yeah, maybe we can help each other out, you know, to say,
Okay.
between the 2 of us, somebody will be at a meeting. Is that all right?
What's the function of this? That's person.
Well, really just to make sure that
The meeting.
the meetings are, yes, that they're convened, that we have. Really, I don't even foresee it necessarily that you have to attend, but like making sure like somebody here, you know, Ben or Sherry knows to come and turn this on, that, you know, there's a meeting that's occurring at, you know.
Do you usually
Whatever.
attend?
I haven't in the past, but can.
Even though she's in the public, Natasha was on this committee, I believe. And you were gonna step down because of being on the board, but you're not on the board, so are you gonna continue?
No, I believe I had to step down to join the board, but that's
Oh, okay.
a, I believe statement. Somebody knows differently, then somebody can confirm that.
Well, I just was, I guess, presuming that you were the board liaison. You know what I mean, once you became on the board. So are you, I guess my question is, are you stepping away or are you planning to still be involved?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm fine with being part of it, but I don't know if my joining the board picked me off of it or not. Does that make sense? Essentially, I jumped from one role to another.
Right.
I don't know if I have the ability to then go back.
I don't know if there was a resignation officially.
I
but we
don't
might
remember
wanna-
seeing one.
We might just wanna.
No, I never resigned from the Stiff Stack Committee.
Yeah.
It just was.
We may wanna reappoint her if she would like to.
Well, that,
join.
to me, it would make, if she, that's why I'm asking, because it would make logical choice
Mhm.
to have you a part of it. I think you would be invaluable there. So,
I know the policy and the procedure.
absolutely. You
I think
have a
we can
lot of
pull- We can
assets.
pull your application, it exists in the system, so if you would like to be considered tonight, we could consider you.
Sure.
Well, I would move that we accept.
Make a motion, quickly.
I'm moving, we accept Natasha as being part of
This
that,
is
yeah, that
that-
committee.
Second.
I
To
think Doug
clarify,
actually.
I will be a participating member, not.
Not
the
part of the
chair.
Oh, no, I mean,
Just a-
however you wanna be there.
All right, Kathy made a motion and Doug seconded. All those in favor of adding Natasha to the stiff stack committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, welcome back.
Thank you. We have 4 people here.
All right.
That's here. I'm working on
Pass
some
on
more
it.
right.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I couldn't see you.
I'm working on very.
We-
Profile cat.
Leaps and bounds.
So that's
Watch me.
5, 6, we have 8.
I was-
We've had a long time.
Yay.
Since the very beginning.
All right.
35 years.
We're gonna move on to agenda item number 9, new business. All right. This is gonna be our big. Okay. Okay, the first agenda item is the proposed UPTD organizational chart. This was completed as part of our emergency assessment.
It's easy to be.
I don't know when you guys get to.
Wow.
Under 9.
Yeah.
All right, so this organizational chart, like I said, was completed as part of our emergency assessment. You will notice that our organization is structured slightly differently in this chart with the creation of a couple new positions and the elimination of a few positions. I was actually going to see if maybe you wanted to speak to
Yep.
the organizational chart. Perfect.
Yeah, so, yeah, the proposed organization chart just looks at, it looks at the compliance issues and where we're falling short. And it compares that to the current structure in terms of the expertise at the executive team level. Really, we're looking at executive team. At least that's what I'm looking at the most carefully right now. And then, of course, that support to the executive team, and then it just rearranges so that we can just be better, just better structured to meet the compliance requirements for the district, and it's super critical. So what I did is recommend the elimination of HR, because HR is really not necessary for an organization this size. It's a lot less expensive to outsource that service. We could do it at maybe a 20% cost. And then also shift some things around on the administration side so that we can save more money, for the taxpayers. I think there's things we have that we're spending money on that we just don't need. And then sort of get back into this position where we have everything we need so that we can grow, if we're gonna grow along with the community, be in a position to do that and maintain our compliance as we grow, because I think that's what originally went wrong. It was a small district, it grew, it required a different structure. And so the proposed structure, I think, will be much more efficient, much more effective.
Okay, and then I also want to call out that there is a change at potentially eliminating a position on closing of the downtown retail office. This is not a plan that this board has put into motion yet, or that has been accepted by the board yet. It is, and so I wanted to call out that this would take effect if the downtown office closed. Correct?
Yeah, and I think too, we need to look at it from an executive, sort of when we execute this to get the organization looking like this. I think we need to look at day to day and make sure that we're doing it in the right order, that we're being prudent about it, that we're being logical about when different things should occur at different times. Also, I think we should look at the people that we have and really try to find roles for them so that we're not laying people off particularly, but looking for just shifting our best people into different roles that will fit them. And I think there's, one of the things that I found coming in was that there's people just in the wrong seat. And so when we get people in the right seat, I think we're just gonna have a lot more, we're just gonna be overall more effective. So I see that as a really critical piece. So I don't think you just go in here tomorrow and you say, you know, start hacking things around and arranging things. I think there's some critical things that need to happen immediately. But for the most part, I think we need to just, you know, as we get involved and we have more discussions, we have more analysis, you know, in the working nature of each position or department. I think then we'll be able to make really good decisions about exactly how we get it to look more like this.
Okay, does the board have any questions about the organizational chart? I know you guys have had some time to review it.
Yeah.
My only concern is compliance manager. I sat through 3 days of that compliance review, and most of these compliance issues are one and done. Once we're in compliance, most of these responsibilities would be get shifted to the different supervisors to make sure they're done. I don't feel that that's a position we need.
Do I respond to that or?
Yeah, you did.
Do it away?
Yeah, it's a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment. I think that the compliance manager also takes the form of an operations manager because we don't have a large enough operation here to, I think, require, you know, 4-member executive team. I think obviously we need finance, and we need overall executive in the general position. And that compliance manager can be directly responsible to ODOT, who can engage back and forth, create a buffer there, and then also oversee, because part of compliance is constantly confirming that we're in compliance. And for a general manager position, you know, obviously, you know, I'm an interim, I'm not, you know, that's the contract that I have. I see strong organizations have a general manager who's looking outside of the organization, working with partners in the community, working with, you know, in the public relations side. And I see, you know, a compliance officer, a compliance manager, really focusing in on supporting the finance department to make sure that that you don't have fires you don't need, and also overseeing those the supervisor level to make sure that everything is in compliance, procurement, everything, all that is compliance. And then we also haven't conducted any audits of subordinate districts. And so that compliance manager can execute on those audits as well. And so I think it's a critical position.
I think they're gonna work themselves out of work.
Fair enough.
I think, well, I was just gonna say, I think compliance is an ongoing issue. There's always gonna be things to be addressed with it. It makes 100% sense to me. And, I appreciate that assessment too. I think this district has been reactive for too long. We need to be proactive, and that means looking ahead, making sure that all of our Ts are crossed and our Is are dotted as we go along. And that would be that person that would be making sure that's all happening.
And I still think once it's cleaned up, which I feel should be driven by the general manager, that is a very easy process to push to the departments to make sure those issues are done properly.
So I just, when I'm listening to this, I'm thinking back on a lot of the experience I had with this. We used what we called engineering assurance managers or quality assurance managers that were embedded with all of the folks. So you imagine that's really what's going on. If that person didn't exist, all of the people that had their functions in the operations, they don't think they minimize the importance of compliance because of the other things that they're there to do, which is do some operational tasks. They don't elevate that compliance part to the level that it should be. And based on 48 compliance problems, okay, you have a problem here. You need to address it. And now let me finish.
we're talking maybe about hiring a full-time compliance manager, I don't know. But it would be clear, you need some level of a compliance manager. It may not be a full-time person, maybe 50%, 25%. Then the company will find out what the need is with time and they'll adjust. But I think you're thinking it's a 100% commitment of an FTE to do that. And you don't think after the initial cleanup, it's going to be needed. I understand that, and it might not be at the 100% FTE level. It may be a half an FTE. I don't know. But
Well, I would
think it's
like,
important.
I would like Ben to explain a little bit more because it sort of came out a little bit, but I'm not sure everybody realizes. We have not been overseeing our contracts.
Right.
Yeah, that's what our supported districts, that they're not managed.
Right.
And so this is an internal issue, it's not external. So I see it as an executive team position, not a general management position.
Right.
So every time ODOT gives us money, they oversee the money that they give us, right?
With
Correct.
compliance managers.
With compliance managers. When we give money out to our contracts, our dial-a-ride contracts, we have the responsibility for overseeing that compliance.
That is correct. And we haven't been performing that responsibility.
Right.
That's a huge issue. I also think that if we're more successful with performing that responsibility, we'll become a larger, more reliable flow-through entity in the position of the eyes of ODOT, which is also an objective. I mean, if we're trying to seek out more funding to improve the services to the community, then I think we need to really look at ourselves as a channel and manage that channel correctly.
Mhm.
And we're not doing that. And so what this does here, I started from the top down, okay? Anytime an organization goes into crisis, it's because there's problems at the top, not the bottom, okay? And when I say top and bottom, I mean the top of the org chart. It's not about, to me, I don't see individuals as more important or less important than others in an organization. No organization can function without everyone required, okay? So it's very, very critical that I think the public understands that. That's my viewpoint on organizational leadership. And so I think that I looked first at the executive team and I thought, wow, there's the problems were very clear to me. The solution also was very clear. As I met with all the employees, every employee I talked to knew the problems and also knew the solutions. So when you're in a situation where everybody knows what the problems are and everybody knows what the solution is, then why aren't these solutions being implemented? Well, that's where good organizational leader will come in and say, let's untie everybody's hands, let's blow apart all the walls and doors, blocking communication and understanding, and let's open this thing up and let's give people the liberty and the tools and the responsibility to solve the problems. And then the organization will ultimately become self-correcting. And so this is my approach to it. So I looked at the executive team. The executive team was broken. And the culture of the executive team was broken. And that's why we had so many issues with the executive team and we couldn't execute, and we have this cancerous stuff going throughout the organization. And I think right now the executive team is fixed. And now the executive team sits in the office and has good conversations about how to move forward and what to do. And there's nothing in the way of that. There's nothing in the way of accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. So the compliance officer could easily become the permanent GM. Okay, to speak to what you're saying, Doug, because I do understand what you're saying. I think you're valid in what you're saying. A compliance officer absolutely could become the GM, but the GM position is different. It's going to be redefined over the next 3 to 6 months in terms of what the responsibilities of the GM is. And so that compliance officer is really like an operations officer with full responsibility to make sure that every department and every procurement and everything that we do is compliant. And as more money comes into the district, because that's our intent, that's what we're trying to do, is grow the service because the community's growing, right? And so if that's our goal and that's our intent, I think it's really important that the operations person is a compliance person. And that is where I'm looking to bring the executive team culture toward that end. We have finance that focuses on grant procurement and then she needs some support with AP and AR, because when she gets bogged down with AP and AR, we have the same problem with a general manager who's bogged down with compliance. right? Because that you can't run an organization with tasks, with stuff like that all day long. You're gonna be very unsuccessful. You need to have communication, you have a lot of meetings. High level management is about vision, it's about strategy, and it's about communication. And if you're tasked all day with that kind of stuff, you can't communicate, and you can't accomplish those things. So I think this is the best possible strategy for the executive team here for the size of the organization. And there's room, like if we want to bring in operations at some point, we can, but I don't think we need it anytime soon. I think there's a 3-person team right now is absolutely wonderful. And that opens up 6 figures of money that we can use to keep our best drivers, to keep our best employees here instead of watching them leave, which I got here today, got another resignation from one of the best drivers. And it's because the resources aren't there. They're getting better options elsewhere. So we have to keep these good employees. And I think that's a really big objective. And I mean, literally, I couldn't have planned it better. It happened on first day. You know, so
The thing I see here though is we have compliance manager and operations manager. So if they're gonna be an operations person,
right,
how do they fit together?
well, they do fit together if as the agency grows, it may be necessary. But as I get involved, even in a day like today, even in more retrospect after presenting this, I don't know. I don't know if an operations person is required at this point. I really don't. I don't think we have 2 or 3 supervisors, 4 maybe, at that level. You really need to have a C-level looking over 4 supervisors. I'm not sure. Right now, there's no SOPs, meaning there's no standard operating procedures. There's no, you talk to people, they're like, well, if you got hired last year, then you do it this way. If you got hired 6 months ago, you do it this way. And that doesn't work. We need to have the best way, and as the best way evolves, and maybe people are like, hey, I think we should do it this way instead, then they need to have the ability to do that. And the supervisors and the drivers and the dispatchers and everybody can work that out on their own. That's that self-correcting organization that we need to create here. So I think that right now, I think we're too small, but this is a proposed org chart. So proposed, if you're good with it, you can vote yes, and I can work on making this happen, as I said earlier, in a prudent way. Because right now, I don't think we run out and hire an operations person. I just don't think we do. I think we take the resources we have and we shore up the foundation of the organization, which is our drivers, our service providers, the people that we need to get out there and go. We could hack the entire C-level off this organization, and people will come to work and they will get in those buses and they'll get up on time and they'll pick people up and they'll provide the service. So as far as being replaceable, it's the people at the top, more so than the people down low at the bottom. So I think we should be slower to hire on the top side and be fast to protect the people down at the foundation that we all need. That we need to make them satisfied and happy first at this point.
I appreciate that your approach is running it like a successful business, not like a bureaucratic organization. Because I think that's the other problem we've had. We're so mired in bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy is, the top is the critical part. The underlings don't matter. I really appreciate looking at this as a business, because I think that is the key to success, personally.
Yeah, if you're heavy at the bottom and the wind blows and you're lighter at the top, you don't flip out and fly down the road. You can hang in there. So, yeah.
All right, well, thank you for presenting this. If there aren't any other questions, are there?
Can
any
I
other
break in
questions?
here? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm out here in Cyberland listening to everything. So I got a couple things that may or not apply, and I do have a couple questions. One, Ben, is how do you see, okay, I'm assuming we do not have an executive assistant currently, seeing as how we don't have a general manager. And I'm assuming we do have somebody that's fulfilling the role of the admin assistant and data. Are those assumptions correct?
If I understand you correctly, Todd, I'd say you're correct.
We
Okay.
do currently have, hold on, Todd. We currently do have the position of executive assistant within our job descriptions, and we previously have had one. We do not currently have an executive
We
assistant,
did not budget for one.
right?
We talked about that today. We were like, what's the budget look like? What's our
Exactly.
cash flow look like? You know, 30, 60, 90, 6 months
Yes.
out. To see where we are with that, because those constraints are gonna determine what we do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, those constraints are also gonna determine, how we do it.
Yeah, okay, what was your
Yeah,
next
so
question?
So it seems to me that, first of all, I'd like to say that, as far as the HR farming it out, I think that's a good idea. I don't think that's much more complicated. I know there's businesses that do that. I don't think it's too much more complicated than farming out the payroll. So I think that would be a wise move. I think that, we should view this, and I know you already are, Ben, just by the conversations that I've heard, we should view this in phases. So, and we're going to need to because of the budget. So I could see that maybe the compliance manager in the first phase of this hiring at the top could actually share the responsibilities of the executive assistant. That's a possible way to combine two jobs into one and maybe satisfy some of Doug's concerns. And it may go into the future as as the proper way to unify those two jobs. I don't know what all the executive assistant normally does and how much of their time is consumed in responsibilities other than compliance currently as the organizational chart was operating. But if we could combine those two, I think that would be great as part of the first phase. Do you need an executive assistant right away, Ben? There's a question for you. Is that something
Yes,
you need
so-
right away?
Do you mind if I speak to that? I think I can help clarify for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so the executive, good executive leaders are not detail oriented. Minus CFOs, they're different. They're unique. They're both high level and detail oriented. Executive assistants are detail oriented, and I think if you have a really good big picture thinkers in your executive team, which is what you want. You don't want executive team members getting down in the mire, okay? Because that's how organizations fail. The executive assistant handles all the details for the entire executive team so that the executive team can focus on the things that matter the most. I'll just share, Sherry and I had a conversation today about, I explained some of the vision for the executive team, I would say the responsibilities and where I want to see the culture of the executive team go. And I really want to see our entire executive team highly focused on the big picture things, the big, elephant hunting. I want us out there landing big grants, okay? And I want to see the CFO, the finance manager. I'm using private industry terms and I keep stopping myself. But I want to see the finance manager get out there and really learn over the next year or 2 years everything about the grant procurement process to become a master of it to the point where she could go get a job at ODOT right now at the C level, right? That's my goal. Our executive team has not been developed ever. And it's been clearly apparent when I came in and saw the conditions of the organization. And so my job as the interim general manager is to develop the executive team. That is like my primary objective for the 6 months that I'm here, at least in contract that we've signed this contract for 6 months. My job is to really develop the executive team. And so I want to see our finance manager, for example, get out there and become masterful at receiving the funding and having that power. It's about empowering people, right? And I think that bringing on a very experienced transportation person for the compliance side is going to help inform the entire district about the nuances of compliance management. And there's people that are already in mind that we're looking at for for what we can, who we can bring in to do that. And I think I want to set an example for what the GM needs to be. But I'll tell you right now, the executive assistant is critical, because if you want me to dive into stuff like this and start making sure that it's all printed up and color coded and paper clipped and set up and put together, you're going to see me as an abject failure as a GM, because I will fail you at every one of those things. I will fail you at making sure that all my events are in a calendar. Okay. I will fail you miserably. But when it comes down to being a leader of an organization, and that's my job, and that's the only job that you guys employ me to do, and I'll do that absolutely well, and it'll be a huge success. So Todd, the executive assistant does not manage compliance. That is absolutely completely two different jobs. The executive assistant is actually a critical function to an entire executive team that can make sure that our finance person can focus less on writing checks and sending payments and, you know, stuffing envelopes, to educating herself on how to procure really great grants for the district and how to manage that better, and to be able to bring in the resources to get the software she needs. Because those, to me, are the most critical things that we need to have accomplished by our executive team. We do not want them managing, you know, the very critical day-to-day stuff that, you know, most big picture people are not great at.
Well, I'm gonna speak to this just really quickly too, because I have only been on this board for a short period of time, but when I first came on, our general manager did have an executive assistant. And there was a huge shift in what was able to be accomplished by the district when she no longer had access to that. It adds a lot of busy work onto the day where bigger things were being missed, and I believe that we're seeing some of the fallout of that. So I absolutely agree that an executive assistant is necessary, and I understand we don't have it currently in the budget, but Sherry, we might work some magic and try to find some money for it.
Well, part of finding that money is saying what's more important right now to the executive team, an operations officer or executive assistant.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, if you want to get stuff done, you want to get a lot of stuff done in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Look, a general manager only has about 14 hours a day to work. If you ask me, that's my 14 hours about right for me. You got that much time, and every single day that goes by, every minute you're spending on something that isn't driving this organization forward is a minute you're pulling that organization back. And if you think of it like that, if you think about the fact that our executive team needs to be focused on relationships, internal communications, development of people, and listening to people and going out and hunting the elephants, those are the things that you want them doing, and that's their job. And so you want people who can do that stuff, and then everything else that is required by that executive team is managed by that executive assistant. And the executive assistant is not someone out running, picking up our lattes, okay? This is somebody who's, I'm sorry, it's true. I mean, maybe they will, I don't know. Don't put me on the record as not doing that, but I will say that it'll keep that entire team running smooth, focused on what they're really good at.
Okay, Ben, so I'm looking, excuse me, I'm looking right at the organizational chart. What are the immediate hires with the money we have to get this first phase started? What are the immediate hires in your mind?
Compliance manager.
What else?
Immediately, I would say compliance manager, like right now, and then after that, I would say executive assistant.
We already have finance.
That if we have HR gone and we have ops, we don't have the expense for ops manager.
Yeah.
So you have two executive expenses that would be open, which would open the ability to hire those two things.
Yeah,
too.
we basically knock out a couple $100,000 a year.
I kind of feel like we need to be careful because our job is to oversee Ben, but not to do his job. And I think we're getting too much now into telling Ben how to do his job. And I think it's fair to ask questions, but I also think that, we hired him for a reason, and we have to allow him to do what we entrusted him to do. So that's kind of where.
the board's job to approve or disapprove the money for those positions.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I think
We
the
already
money's already
approved
there.
it. We
for-
already approved it.
For.
No, we haven't approved the budget for an executive assistant yet. We would have to do that again.
But we
We'd have
we have approved the budget for the other two positions, so we could easily approve to have an
Right.
executive
But what-
because we have that money
But
available.
what I'm saying is, it is the board's job to approve the funds for that position.
But not to be making his decisions beyond that, you know, so that was. If we have to approve the position, fine, but we don't have to micromanage how he's
We don't.
using the funds
We
for
wouldn't,
the
we
whole.
wouldn't necessarily hire that person. We would approve the funds for Ben to hire that person.
Well, we don't, we, or just approve that he does hire a person.
The funds exist, so if the funds are there.
Right.
What we choose to have our structure look like organizationally is if the budget is the budget,
Right.
then there isn't a new budget that has to be approved.
Yeah, that's
As long as
payroll.
it is within the budget.
Right.
Right. So
So does the board, do the bylaws state that the board decides if there's like the positions, or is it just the budget on payroll?
We had to approve a supervisor.
it was the creation of a new position.
So this position is already in,
The executive assistant already exists.
yeah, so there's nothing, that's
It's
just, the
just
rest
not-
is just leaving
It's
it.
not in the budget, however.
The compliance manager position does.
Is a new position.
It
The
is a new
compliance
position.
manager is a new position,
Okay.
exactly. And there is money in the budget for various employees. And those can be modified to accommodate whatever title we're giving to an employee. The thing is I think we're getting really caught up in the name of what this employee is. Not recognizing that these job duties already exist within our organization and we're renaming and reallocating what these people do.
Good point.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's no change to the spend, there's no change to the budget. What I would be doing is going in and at the right time, right? Like. That's the big thing as well is there will be the right timing to start looking for these people and looking internally first. I would look always to the jobs that are maybe being eliminated and looking to them to see if they can fill those roles. And if they can't, they can't. I know it sucks, but if they can't, they can't. I want the best people we can get. But you guys would have to decide as a board how you wanna work it, but I do like the idea of approving a strategy and then letting me execute that strategy in the right timing. And trusting me to do that if you do, and if you don't, that's fine too. We can come back here in 30 days and meet up and
And not
see if
have
you
any
guys are
fun.
down with it and kill 30 days.
So,
I like to move fast.
so can I then? I'd kind of like to move forward. So at this point, do we need to retitle? Or do we just have Ben look for this position for whatever? Do we need to assign him a name? Or are we just saying,
What we're what we're looking at here, if you look at 9.1 on your.
right,
So the requested action is satisfied motion to accept and implement proposed organizational chart.
so that's it strictly,
That's what this is about.
okay.
And the implementation of this, there's no timeline on it. I think that's another way to look at what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to communicate as clear as I can. There's no timeline on it. Like at the right time, each action will be executed at the right time. I think, at least by my judgment.
So do you have more to add, Todd?
Well, the only thing I would add, Kathy, is I was listening to what you were saying, and I just want you to know that this conversation in this arena of the organizational chart, this conversation to me is totally legitimate. Ben's the GM. He's ultimately going to make these decisions. I like the idea of Ben hiring, but we're talking about the organizational chart. And I think as a board, we need to be open to having these kind of discussions, maybe disagreements at times. That's what we are doing. So I think everything here is legitimate. It's where it needs to be. And I just want to say that, I don't want to micromanage Ben. Believe me, I do not.
Well, and I wasn't trying to insinuate that the conversation wasn't legitimate, but it did feel a little bit like we were getting into that focus.
Into the weeds of it.
Yeah,
Into the weeds.
yeah,
All right, so I just want to remind everyone, we're on 9.1.
yeah.
And we have quite a few other things.
Well, I mean, at this point would be, I'd like to move that we accept the proposed organizational chart with Ben to work within it as he sees fit. Oh, according to our budget and whatever laws of God, I don't know what laws we would end with.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
Just second it.
All those in favor? Oh, sorry, any discussion? We already had discussion, but we might want to modify it. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, so Todd, what did you vote?
I,
Aye.
my mute was on. I voted aye.
So 5 in favor, 1 opposed.
Who first and who second?
That
second.
was Kathy and
I
Lisa.
moved.
No.
Okay. All right. 9.2. Moving along. Okay, okay, this is actually sort of a conversation that we just went over, Kathy kind of combined two into one.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
This conversation was just to confirm the, hiring authority of the general manager to fill any vacant or recently organized positions within the currently accepted budget. It's a slightly different than the motion that you made. It gives him authority to hire recently, organized positions.
So we don't need to amend, we can just so move with
Yeah,
discussion.
you could read 9.2 if you wanted to make
Yeah.
a motion to that effect. Do you see it right here?
Yeah, the hiring of, oh, is it down below?
It's on the
Under
agenda or
requested
in
action.
yeah.
The second one down. On,
If satisfied, motion to confirm.
no, other side.
Oh,
Other-
no.
other side.
Oh, that's why I'm not
Nope,
seeing. Wait.
wrong one, sorry.
Yes.
That, yes, the second down. Nope, turn it over.
9.2.
9.2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just to
So,
clarify,
I
just to
moved to
clarify,
confirm the hiring. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Todd.
I
Hold on
guess
just a
we can
second.
make the motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay, go ahead and make the motion, Kathy.
He's out of order.
I
You know.
move to confirm the hiring authority of the general manager to fill any vacant or recently organized positions within currently accepted budget.
And I'll
And there was
second
a
it.
Second by
Okay.
Todd. Is there any discussion? Todd?
Yes. I would just like to say that, Ben should have hiring authority, of course. We're not gonna be, looking at all these people. It needs to fall on his shoulders. But I would say that, when you say hiring authority, I would not say that it's unlimited. In other words, it's within the understood organizational chart that perhaps we have discussed at meetings. That's all I would say.
And it does say to fill any vacant or recently organized positions within the currently accepted budget. That was part of the motion. I would like to
Yeah.
also just add to discussion that this is also with the understanding that we are following all processes required as a government organization. We have to
Right.
post these positions, we have to interview for them. All of that.
And he can't create a new position.
Right.
No, it's organized, recently organized.
You have to color between the lines.
So we have an organizational chart that we just approved.
Okay, so are we still discussing them?
Okay, so any other discussion? No, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay. Unanimously passes.
Wow.
Yeah, we got it.
Look at that.
Oh, they agree on something unanimously. All right, 9.3 board vacancy. We have a board vacancy, that needs to be posted. We have previously been posting these positions, continuously for 2 weeks in the news review, which is costing us about, I think, $1,200 every time we have to do it. The Beacon would be significantly cheaper, although it does not come out quite as often, but it would still be compliant with our bylaws to have that posted continuously for 2 weeks. It would be 2 times it would have to be posted in the Beacon, and it would be significantly less expensive. So that's
I
up to the
make a
board.
motion that we start posting everything in the Beacon. I'm making a motion that any postings we put out goes into the Beacon, not the news review, until further notice.
That would be a change to our bylaw.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That would be a change to our bylaws. I don't know if we can technically do that and be in compliance.
I have a question, and it might be silly, but posting of notices and stuff like that, is that, does the board have to vote on that, or can you just let us handle that?
Normally, when we're,
It just has to be noticed.
I think we just lost.
yeah, normally when we've posted other board positions, we have discussed it in the board meetings and we.
Notices for board positions.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Yes. And so
not for your
we
people.
found out, we actually, well, we hadn't had any board vacancies for quite a long time. And then we found out
Then
that.
Michaela took over.
That's the allegation, isn't it? So, we found out that the news review, we thought it was just like a regular like meeting notice. And the news review came back and said, no, it's actually a very significant charge. I think it's like
notice.
$1,200.
I would pay that.
So I would think at this point, and Todd, I appreciate your motion, but I think we would need an RFP for something like that. But I think for this particular posting, we may be able to just make a motion that we save the money.
In the
Yes.
effort to be fiscally conservative in light of our dire financial straits, I would move that we post this board vacancy in the Beacon.
All right, is there a second to Kathy's motion?
I second it.
I have some discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
Does it come out often enough that we could post special meetings on 24-hour notice, that kind of thing?
Comes out
Because
once a week.
Once a week.
It comes out once a week.
It goes to bed sometime between 12 and 8 PM on Tuesday. And it's usually hitting the stands by Wednesday.
my only issue with it is if we have a special meeting and we need 24 hours notice, we're gonna have to
We're
use
not
it.
changing
But
the
yeah,
bylaws
we're
tonight.
only dealing with this one
And I
board,
don't
one
think
board
we- I don't think
vacancy.
we would ever put it in our bylaws that we are only using
Yeah,
one news
that would
media
be-
source. I think that would be.
That'd be
huge conflict.
short-sighted.
Well, I think it would violate some rules.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that we can get things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We're
this
gonna have to
isn't,
use other avenues.
yeah, this isn't
those
for
issues.
posting the meeting notices. This is just for posting this one.
One,
I think
Board
David wants
vacancy.
everything between 12 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, so he can put in the vacation.
Okay.
Between 12 and 3 maybe.
So Kathy made a motion, John seconded. Any other discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed?
Good time to say I oppose.
Yeah. Okay,
we're done.
move on to 9.4. Okay. We recently. Oh, it's okay. Thank you for joining. me. Welcome back.
Thank you for being on our committee.
All right. Okay, so our disciplinary action policy was recently adopted by the board. Prior to that, there was a resolution that was put into place that basically did not allow the general manager, the normal authority that a general manager has for disciplinary action and to hire, fire, whatever. We modified this about a month ago to say that the general manager will not terminate members of senior management without prior approval of the board or approval of the board, I think is what.
Longer ago than that, that's like April or so.
No, the most recent one we did was, I think in September, where we changed it again.
Take it back.
Kind of, we didn't change it back. We wordsmithed it during a meeting and we came to the conclusion that the general manager has to come to the board for approval to make disciplinary and termination decisions. And when I ran this by our special district's attorney, this is a bit of that overreach of the board of us getting into the operations of the district, where we're having to have the general manager come to us for approval. And so the recommendation is that we modify this instead of approval, it's out without prior notification to the board of directors. And that notification to the board of directors would then allow the board of directors to be able to ask any relevant pertinent questions to the general manager before a decision is made.
And can I just make sure I'm understanding, therefore, it's not approval, he's just notifying us.
Right.
So if we have questions, he would have to be, or she, whoever may be.
The general manager,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. That would make sense.
All right, any discussion or questions?
So do we need to move for this modification?
We do. We need
Yeah,
to-
what's the
And do
motion?
we have to read it or can we just stipulate it? Can we stipulate it? Isn't it 9.4? So can we stipulate it to as written?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. 9.4.
Do we know what resolution number that was? Was it 7? Was it 24/7? The original?
I don't know. We can go back and find it. I don't know.
Oh, I remember. I remember. This got very convoluted, it seemed in our, we were trying to figure out
Yes.
how.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were wordsmithing it from the floor, which is
Yeah.
always.
It just seems to make sense that we could move to approve the modifications. As stipulated. Previously written on
Yeah,
our agenda.
sure. Yeah,
Doesn't that make, yeah. So I so move. If it's appropriate.
all right. Kathy made a motion.
I-
Just for clarity, we are modifying the end of this disciplinary action policy to the last sentence will say general manager will not terminate members of the senior management without prior notification to the board of directors. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, Lisa seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Any discussion?
Oh, discussion, thank you. We had discussion ahead of.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
But we might have, Todd might be wanting to throw in his 3 cents.
No. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? All right, look at that, you guys.
Delay from Tiller.
Yeah.
Okay, 9.5 drug and alcohol policy. So we do need to assign we need to assign the general manager as the DAPM ender number 1. We also need to remove the HR manager as juror number 2 and appoint. What was recommended to me was the dispatch supervisor would be the most appropriate choice for juror number 2.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So we're making the general manager, the DAPM, and the DER number 1? Is that what we're doing?
Enter number 1, right?
And then the dispatch. DER
Yeah,
number
does
2.
he have to get some kind of certification?
I'll have to
then?
go get certified.
And until he is certified, how do we cover that?
We do not currently have a DAPM.
We don't, and I put a call into David with ODOT, and we are supposed to have a call with Sean from RLS to kind of go over that, so
Yeah.
I'll include you in that.
And there's really nothing that we can do about that, so.
I was gonna, is there anybody that can take, there's nobody at all
It's not on
whatsoever.
the calendar.
And how long does certification take for that?
We're gonna find that out.
It takes 6 months.
I'll get it done and let you know.
Yeah.
But we,
It's 6 months.
we really are in a position where, I mean, we can't wait 30 days or even another week necessarily necessarily to be making these decisions. We need to start moving forward.
It might affect your hire. If they have that certification.
Yeah.
Just thinking,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah.
At least somebody, either your
That's true.
executive assistant or the
Yeah, you
person,
should-
compliance person, if they
Yeah.
had that, that's a little bonus.
That is a bonus.
Add that into a job.
But those are, that's a really good point. And there's two, that's why it's like very cool to look at, well, that's a good idea. Cause we can then, yeah.
Kill a few birds.
I love killing multiple birds in one stone.
Exactly.
No,
All right, you guys.
Not right now.
Any other discussion on this? If not, I will entertain a motion to make the general manager the DAPM and DER number 1 and remove the HR manager as DER number 2 and appoint the dispatch supervisor as DER number 2.
I second it.
No, who's making the motion?
John did,
John's making the motion.
just for
I'll
something
second it.
different.
Actually, I was waiting.
Oh.
But I'll go and take credit for
Okay.
it.
I
wanted to
moved
get his
and John
attention because
moved.
Yeah.
Somebody behind me that needs to talk to
Okay.
me because she was formerly a DAPM.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Look at that.
expired a long time ago, but I can redo it again if you want me to.
No.
We
What-
need to
what
have it
again
in here.
Has to be an
Yeah.
employee of
I think I
the.
think
Yeah.
it's an employee. But how long did it take you?
Huh?
How long did it take you?
It took me, I think it was like 3 months.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Well, then.
I was
Usually, oh God, there is some training that happens that's usually like a 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing
it
in
does.
Bend, but that was in July, so it's
Yeah.
passed. So we're gonna have to get with RLS or.
There might be
David
some
and-
way to
Right.
do a
Yeah.
quick
Exactly.
speak, there's gotta be some
Yeah,
way,
we'll-
there's
we'll get
always
it.
a
If
way.
it's not possible, then we're bringing this back to the next board meeting and we're coming up with another plan.
Okay,
Go to
perfect.
ADAPT and they might be able to help you with it.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
actually did it through with that, with their kind of guiding me.
perfect.
But I decided to let my nursing license expire, but you, even though if I don't work as a licensed, don't smile at me like that. No, Ben, please, but, I mean, I could always renew my nursing license
Yeah.
if I want to, but they want me
I
to
don't want
do
it
prosody up here.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you don't have to be a licensed nurse or registered nurse to be able to be certified.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. Yeah, we'll get it dialed in. Thank you.
All right.
That new hire.
Thank you.
Okay,
Go to
$9.5.
ADAPT.
all right, you guys, let's call this back to order. We're never gonna get out of here.
So are we,
Okay.
are we voting?
All right, we are in the middle of a motion, you guys. We have a motion from John. We have a second from Lisa. Do we have any more discussion? We've had discussion. Do we have any more? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
As opposed. Every time, I'm sorry, God.
It's that Tiller
All right, next,
Tiller.
delay.
Tiller has left.
all right, 9.6, assign interim general manager as bank signatory.
That's,
Yes,
Yeah.
so we need, we have 2 signers already, which are chair and vice chair. And we're needing to add, the interim general manager as additional signer. So I will entertain a motion to assign the interim general manager, Ben Edel, as a bank signatory.
so moved.
Thank you, Kathy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh,
And,
yeah, 2
oh,
seconds.
That's
he
always the
prob-
third second.
He probably said it before, but.
Yeah,
there was
it's
a delay.
delayed.
Should we give it to
Give
him?
it to him.
Give it to
Yeah.
Todd, give it to the guy in Tiller.
He's been trying all
Came
day.
all this way.
Okay, is there any discussion about adding him? Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Why is Todd opposing everything tonight?
That poses it so positively though.
So before you
Move on.
leave, I'll just need you to sign that resolution.
Yes,
And
I will
then
sign this
I'll
right
need
now,
you
so I don't forget.
This
Okay,
for the bank.
moving along.
What is the date today?
21st.
Okay, John, you gotta sign this and then give it to Carrie. Yeah, okay. Thank, oh wait, we just did this one. Oh,
Procurement policy.
it's on there twice.
Oh, it is, yeah. I was like.
Oh,
It was important.
So you're gonna explain what the changes are?
Okay, so yeah, let's get a procurement policy. These are
Sure.
2 totally different procurement policies.
Yes.
The one that we had before, had some issues. And, when our audit was completed with RLS, we had found, is it Coos?
Who's big?
Yeah, so Coos
County.
Bay, actually had a procurement policy that they, really liked a lot, so, so Sherry went through and basically used their procurement policy as a basis for creating a new procurement policy for us. This has not been reviewed by our attorney, although I don't know that it's necessarily his area of expertise. It's 27 pages long, it's very long. And there is no quick way to see the changes because they're completely different.
They are
documents.
completely different.
So, I'll let you speak to.
So the old policy, RLS said that was like more stringent than even the FTA
Right.
requirements. So they suggested that we, do something that may be more in line with the state requirements, but still meets the FTA requirements if it goes to
Right.
the level of purchase that. And we use that type of funding, but, so it is a whole different policy, but it is more in line, with the state.
Can I ask why they decided they needed to have one more stringent to start with?
I have no idea. It was here when I got here, so
Okay.
it's developed
Do you know
before. I don't know
why?
if Jennifer has any background on it. Jennifer was with Cheryl, I think, from the beginning of the district, so I don't know if Jennifer has any input on it, but,
Yeah, I think Cheryl took Lane Transit District's procurement policy and modified it. I suggested Coos, so that was one that got high praise. So yeah, it was her choice.
All right.
and I essentially just took two Coos counties and I just swapped out the names for our name and then just read through it to make sure that nothing seemed out of line or wonky. So.
All right.
And does this need to pass ODOT approval or anything?
Jennifer, do we need to submit this to you?
You do
Or-
because it's one of your
our
findings.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Does legal?
so
need to
Jennifer,
approve
would
it?
you like us to send this over and then we can put it on our agenda for next month to approve?
Or
Or
if there's no
can we,
modification?
can we approve it pending your approval?
Yeah, if we find things that are needing to be modified, then you would probably have to go back in and reapprove it, is what you
Okay.
would probably have to do.
Is this one, they had mentioned earlier, the IT
That was
RFPs, does
No.
this one address what we were talking about? Because they said there was some problems with our procurement policy with the IT, is what I understood. So she had said that because we had that we might have there might be a problem with our procurement with what we're doing with our IT.
You just
So
have to
is
make
that-
sure that you have the federal clauses included if you're going to be utilizing federal funding for any procurement.
Jennifer, real quick, I want to clarify that with you because I went through, it was RTAP. And I searched for the federal clauses. And there was one section that said federal clause. And I included that with that heading. And I was looking for more down below, but they had different headings on them. There was only one that actually said federal clause. So which of those need to be included?
Without looking at it directly, I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones you're talking about. I can share some information, but I
Yeah,
can't.
that'd be great.
I haven't seen your RFP or your procurement for this, so I don't know what you have in there. So I couldn't I would not be qualified without seeing it.
Okay, I'm just looking for clarification on what clauses have to be included in there, cause I went straight to the one that said, and I can't remember the exact title of the heading, but it was basically federal clause. And so I included that. in
Depends on
there.
what type of funding you're utilizing, and those are found within the section 5311 and 5310. The federal clauses, they're part of the certs and assurances that are included. So that's on the federal rules for each one of those funding sources.
Jennifer, do our RFPs need to go to you first before we post them? Or once we kind of have everything in compliance, we're good to, because we're gonna have to do RFPs for everything.
See, I think you'd have to be, I don't know if you're the belly button in this system, but somebody comes to you with a procurement for 150K. You know this document so well that you know all, I'm just assuming that you're the person in charge of that. That's, I don't know who else would be, but, so you'd have to know this pretty well, all the requirements, and do it yourself. If you're trained in it, if you're good enough. Then there's no sense in having to go to Jennifer if you know how to do it. As long as you wanna take responsibility for that.
True,
If you
but
don't
until
want
we know what we're doing, because we haven't, I was not the procurement officer before.
Yeah.
Cheryl was the procurement officer, so
Yeah, I did have
Um,
one.
But see,
I
that-
haven't been involved in that
Okay, federal-
process.
so somebody would have to be obvious.
Right.
You said you adapted Coos Bays?
Yes,
And has ODOT approved theirs?
she said,
I had a
Um,
for the federal
I
clause.
believe so, and the RLS, the auditors,
That's not allowed there.
also
Okay.
gave them high praise on
All
it.
right, perfect.
Okay, we'll look at it and make sure it's into the, we. Send it to Jennifer.
Okay, yeah.
So could I just make a motion then?
Yes.
I'd like to move to accept the changes to the procurement policy. Pending approval from ODOT. Acceptance and approval by ODOT.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yay.
Once again,
Yeah,
it's with this guy.
manana, we're gonna call him.
Yeah.
Sherry, thank you for doing this.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Okay. Project update. Well, Sherry, can you speak?
I don't have an agenda. I gave mine up to somebody else. So if, somebody has an agenda. Okay.
I don't think that's where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, sorry, wrong one, yeah.
STIF project updates, I don't think there's anything really to update, other than, now that we have some people on the STIF staff committee, we need to try and get that meeting scheduled. I guess maybe I can get with John and Kathy to find out. I mean, I can always email the folks if you guys want me to, but we need to try and
Is it
set up.
some critical timing on this?
Yes.
So we need to move as quickly as possible,
We
right?
do, because we already have 2 meetings scheduled, one for 11:04 and one for 11:11. Okay.
They're like, clear your calendar.
Yeah.
Do those meetings occur here?
Monday and online.
Okay,
gonna be.
We're not Okay.
Are they usually attended remotely? Or
That's what she said she does.
It can be attended remotely.
Okay, let's call this back to order for just a second, you guys. We can't all hear each other at the same time. Okay, keep going. Wednesday, Sherry.
This Wednesday? Okay, do you have anything going on, Pat, on Wednesday?
Kind of do, but we'll see what time.
What time could you be?
In the afternoon, definitely. After 4.
After 4, you're
Yeah,
available?
what time do you get off work on Wednesday?
I have a
And he gets off work at 5, he can be here right after that.
I have my.
Like 5:30?
Okay, so maybe 5:30
5:30.
on Wednesday,
I'll do it without you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
5:30 Wednesday, this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at
that.
So we're just gonna need somebody to run that meeting.
Oh, well.
But that, it doesn't necessarily have to occur here. We can do remote only.
Yeah, we can do remote. We'll send out a Zoom link. And
Okay.
it can be attended by Zoom if that makes it easier, or you can come here.
No, Jason will come here. He gets off work at 5 at the news review.
Okay.
And we can pick him up and bring him right over here, be here before 5:30.
Well, hold on, let's talk about this really quickly because I don't want people having to work late again this week to keep the building open.
I'll be here till 5 anyway, so I don't,
But who's gonna keep the
Well,
Zoom meeting running?
I'll just stay. It's not a big deal. That's what I do.
I kind of want to avoid that situation from.
I can
happening.
confer Leah another day.
Do it?
No, because
No,
the
we
building
have
has to be
yeah.
maintained by
Oh,
somebody that
yes.
works
An
here.
employee.
Yeah.
I mean, Lisa's here at night. I could always ask her, but I really think with this first meeting, I probably need to just be here, just to kind of see how it's, because I haven't been involved in them in the past.
We could bring you a pizza.
Oh, Natasha, my perspective, ask the committee members if available for the meeting. I didn't know you were on, Natasha. Are you available on Wednesday at 5:30?
I'm driving to my next meeting, so I'm sorry, it's really loud. And I'm driving that night. I have a ceremony in Portland.
Okay.
As long as we have
Thursday.
5 members there, right?
Yeah.
As
Well-
long as we have 5, we're okay.
So we got 1, 2,
We got
3.
3 here.
I'm not a member, I'm just a.
We have 4. Yeah,
We need 5?
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
The
we,
5 committee, yeah, so
maybe
4,
we can
1.
email
2,
the rest of the
3, 4.
committee members and see what their availability is.
Okay.
Do we change the night?
How about Thursday night?
I think there was an issue with you on Thursday.
Oh, no.
Thursday, good?
When are we supposed to be in bed? Friday morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a
You-
tour of that committee?
Thursday
Sorry,
night, just-
you do need to notice the meeting.
Yes.
Take-
5:30?
When do you finish with your
Oh,
work?
we can't have a meeting on
Okay,
Wednesday.
change the
night.
Oh,
But if you're going to do it 5, you don't change, got it. Thank you for
7
all the.
yeah, the
pieces.
bylaws.
Yeah.
He's available from 7 on.
So
That
let's,
was our first
or
meeting.
5:30,
Pretty much got.
5:30 or not? How long are these meetings?
Well, we have to change the bylaws before we can even.
Maybe Natasha, can you speak to that? Because I have not been involved in them and Jennifer noted that we need to change the bylaws if we're still.
Okay, let's do this really quickly. We don't need to have a discussion in the meeting for what time we're, day we're going to do this meeting. So why don't we postpone that? We'll send an email out to everybody and find out what their availability is. So the people who aren't here
Okay.
get to participate too. Jennifer brought up a good point. We still have to address the bylaws issue. So we're not talking about our main bylaws. We're talking about the stiff stack committee bylaws, which are separate. On page. Hold on. Sorry, I found it earlier. I should have kept it open. On page 3 of 9 of the bylaws. Under committee membership, it says number of members. The advisory committee will include 12 members. Does this board want to amend this to read the advisory committee will include at least 5 members, leaving it open-ended to how many people can be on the committee?
Yeah.
I'd like, but not at least a minimum.
A minimum.
Yeah.
The advisory committee will include a minimum of 5 members.
Right. And do we have? Cause we haven't specified 3 of whom will meet the requirements of age or
That's in
disability.
later.
Huh?
It's later in our
But
bylaws.
we have, don't we have more than 3 needed and we only need 3? Do you see what I'm saying? We only need to have 3 of those met and we have more than that, I think, in the bylaws, the way.
Yeah,
I
but
was
you have to
reading.
have at least 5
Five.
members. But you do have to have those three of those things required, but that's already listed later in the bylaws, so that doesn't need to be included up here for number of members.
Okay, I just thought in our bylaws, we had more requirements for who had to be covered as well.
No, they have to represent one or more areas of that list. We don't have to have every area of the list.
Okay,
But I think there is a minimum requirement.
yeah, that's what I thought that I had read somewhere.
You need someone who is low income.
Okay.
Individual 65 or older, disabled. And public transportation service provider or nonprofit entities which provide public transportation services.
So those are
Those
the
are the-
requirement ones. and
But
we
that's
have that.
listed later in our
Right,
bylaws, so we
okay.
don't need to duplicate that.
So there wasn't more. I think Kathy was alluding to, she thought there was more listed
I
there.
thought
in
our
our
bylaws had more covered
It
that we had
does,
to cover.
But it says that in order to be eligible, you have to fulfill at least one of these requirements, and there's a whole list of them.
Okay,
But we don't have to have every single one of those covered.
you're right, but that's what I was, thank you.
All right, so, I know. All right, so do we have a motion to change? The advisory committee will include a minimum of 5 in the stiff stack committee.
Thanks for me.
Okay, Doug made a motion. Do you have a second? John seconded. All those, discussion. Please don't. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yay.
A good pause.
Okay, all those opposed. Then, okay. Okay, let's make sure we take a note.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sneaking around even though we told her she could leave early.
I actually do have it written on here. Okay.
She's not gonna leave us unsupervised.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, she knows
If
us too
somebody
well.
has a list, does somebody have a list of who our current members are
Yes.
and emails?
And I will get that to you.
Okay,
after.
then I will send something out and see
Okay.
what day works. we'll
Okay, and then,
kind
yeah,
of
we just need to
process.
notice it in the news review,
Yeah.
and it's pretty easy. What I did for this one is I just made sure everything was updated on our website, and I sent the news review the information for our website where people can go get that information.
Yep.
Okay,
Is that one still really expensive too?
No, those.
No, those are
The
free.
public notices,
Yeah,
yeah,
those are
okay.
free. Okay, action plan update.
No real updates other than, the procurement policy is a big one, so
Mhm.
that's gonna help with the action plan, and it's also gonna help with our audit. I think that Becky also had updated the drug and alcohol policy. I will see if I can get my hands on that. And, we might wanna put that on the agenda build for next month. Or did we approve that in a previous meeting with the changes?
I don't think it's been approved yet.
Okay. Okay,
I'll go back and check, but I don't
but
think.
yeah,
it
I
has.
can get the drug and alcohol, I'm sure I can get my hands on that and, we can bring that to the next meeting for approval by the board.
Okay, so,
And the audit was finally completed, so that was part of the action item is getting the audit,
yeah,
the final audit, so that's been done. I'm sure we'll have no, I don't think we're having an update with ODOT this week. I think Jennifer's out
She's
on,
out, yeah.
yeah. So it'll be next week, but, I will go through the action plan and see where we are with some of these changes.
okay. And bring our general manager up to date.
Yep.
All right, general manager report.
Well, the general manager's office is clean.
That's a big job.
It was a big job. I have nothing really to report other than, today was the first day, here on the job, so, I had numerous meetings and, began the work of cleaning things up around here, so, that's about it.
Welcome.
Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
A very
You
long
need a
first
writing for
day.
mine.
He's
Yeah,
got
man,
12
wow.
hours today.
I'm a scribble.
You know how I am, I'm just getting started.
Work forever.
He grabs a little one.
All right, anything for not on agenda?
Yeah, I have something I'd like to say to our new general manager.
Okay.
We're
go
having
ahead.
we're having issues with the way that the news review is behaving towards us as an organization. I would like you to consider the type of messaging, Ben, that we need to utilize, perhaps disciplinary actions against the newspaper. I would prefer not to give them any money if they're going to treat us in an adversarial manner as they have been, fairly severe in my opinion. And I would like to find out what we are legal, what kind of RFP postings and public notifications we are required to put through the news review. And if we can avoid them by using other newspapers, the Beacon and others perhaps, I would like you to consider a response to the type of reporting that we've been assaulted with as far as I'm concerned from the news review.
Here, here.
Yeah,
It's been
amen.
defamation of character.
Yeah,
It really, it's gone beyond, it's gotten very personal, and it's gotten very personal about us personally.
I would like, Todd, I love that you brought that up. I think, I find it very fascinating as to why, given that the district is in the situation that it's in, why the news review would come after the new people who are trying to fix it and try to throw balls and squirrels out in front of them and try to detract and deflect away from the work that we're doing and then attack characters of the people on the board without really saying exactly why. I don't understand that. But again, this is Southern Oregon and I'm learning my ropes around here in terms of finding out who's who and why the who is who and who the why is and why the who is. And so we'll figure that all out. I've had some conversations already, Todd, with Winkelmeyer or is that I don't
Drew, yeah.
yeah. I did threaten him once. I just said if you go out of your way to cause damage for the motive of causing damage, then I guess we have to go out of our way I have to go out of I didn't say we, I said I will have to go out of my way to cause damage. And so, as far as their mentioning of my personal name, it's been, a little nicer since then. So, yeah, I think that we should be, tracking that. I don't understand the motive, but I think we should, track that and make sure that the correct information is out there. I have total respect for the media and their job. I'd love to see the media do their job and be that, fourth check on government agencies. But this doesn't feel like that.
Ben,
This
can
feels
I-
like.
Can I say
an
something,
attack.
please? Because I have a question to ask of you also. I was in a very, and I think you already know about this and your mother knows about this. I was in one of those situations because for years, I was a journalist. I was a freelance reporter as well as a broadcaster, talk show host. And I wrote letters to the News Review from time to time. And when they found out that I was supporting you and supporting Michaela and Kathy Curry and Todd Vaughn, they refused to publish any of my letters. The reason I didn't raise a big stink about it was because the fact at that time, my daughter-in-law was working at the front desk in classified. She has since quit the News Review because of some of their practices. We are kind of in an interesting situation here because my son happens to work at the News Review part-time in the back room, which can actually getting the newspapers out. And so we've been very careful about what we have said to the News Review, but I have come up and I spoke to my daughter-in-law and her comment was, this is why we think this is happening. One of the county commissioners, who I think you know who it is, has a very close relationship with the owner of the News Review. And they're also in business together. Now, I don't know if they're related by marriage or something, but I know that they're in business together. And one of our county commissioners has put forth a lot of ads because all three of our county commissioners actually have businesses in the community. And so there's a lot of money being funneled into the News Review. So therefore, I think Drew Winkle, whatever his name is, has been very, very slanted against you. And when I read the article that they wrote about you a while ago, I was outraged because I knew for a personal that they weren't true. It wasn't true.
Yeah.
And I was like, my son is on that bus 4 and 5 days a week going to work from Roberts Creek Road to the News Review. And I've had to muzzle myself and keep my mouth shut because I didn't want to get my daughter-in-law fired. She finally quit because of their practices. And he doesn't wanna be fired, but I think it's good that he's sitting on this stiff committee here. Because then he kind of hears and sees what's going on here. And now the articles, he comes home every day with a free copy of the News Review, and I subscribe to 2 copies of the Beacon every week. But he comes home every day with this newspaper and says, look at, here we go. And I'm like, but that's not true, but that's not true, you know? And so he's kind of being able to now be discerning to see what's going on, that
Yeah.
this is very political. And we can't let the Board of Commissioners use the News Review to silence us, to censor us, to shadow ban us, and to put out things that are negative, that are not true about people who are in the Republican Party or Democrat Party or sitting on this board.
Right, thank you, Donis. I'm gonna wrap it up. So
there's
what-
the news
what can
review.
We could do, we could probably talk about this for a long.
Can I just
period.
say one,
What can we do then?
yeah, I think that, so. One of the things that I've been fielding already today, and then also when I had the day where I met with every employee here, most of the questions that came after that fact and even today were concerns about what was printed in the News Review. So it's had a very, their false reporting has had a very negative effect on the morale of the employees. And what I've told everybody today, and in the past, is that they're gonna get a front row seat to the truth. They're gonna get a front row seat to a very, I think it's gonna be a very marvelous experience here as we all come together and see what we can do and see what we're made of and see and watch this turnaround occur and be a part of it. I have a front row seat. That's the way I look at it. I'm not, we all have a front row seat. And that's really done a lot to ease people's concerns. I mean, one of the things I think we're known this day and age is that when people say, well, Orange Man bad, or this person's bad, but there's nothing there to say why they're bad or what makes them bad. That should always be a concern for anyone who's digesting or consuming media. So I think we should spend less time on those guys and move forward with the task at hand, because the truth ages very, very well.
And we're here to serve the
Can I
public.
bring
so.
up something too, though, along that regard? I was quite uncomfortable getting an email from Drew to all the board members asking us to fill out a survey, because I don't really think that's appropriate. I think we have a chair and a vice chair who are our spokespeople. I think anything that we say outside of the boardroom we should not be reflecting our own personal opinion about stuff. And unless we have a talking point for the press, I don't think we should be handling the press personally, because that's our own individual selves. Then I think that if the press wants to talk to the board, they are more than welcome to come to the meeting, or they are more than welcome to approach our chair with their questions.
Here's something that comes to the job. We're public figures.
Yes.
We can't represent the whole board of the media. But we do answer to the public,
Right.
each and every one of us.
And
And
they
I
were
have
invited
no-
to the
and to the
executive
people that-
session too.
Well, I mean,
I have no problem answering to the public.
don't
when
want
we
to,
invite the public.
but-
to
No,
the
I said
Let's
they
do
were
one at a
invited
time,
to
you
it,
guys,
Right.
one at a time, one at a time. I think Doug still had the floor. Go ahead, Doug.
but the thing is, we answer to the voters.
Right.
And so if we're asked questions, you can choose to answer them or not. That's up to you, but we do answer to the public.
However, when you are being asked questions that your answers are distorted, how is that being responsible to the public you're representing? I feel that when we are dealing with a hostile media, that we have to handle it appropriately, which would be, we have a chair for a reason. I have no problem talking to any public person. They want to stop me, they want to
Well, but-
email me or whatever. I have no problem with that, but I do have a problem with a hostile media who has shown a bias and is approaching us for individual responses. I don't think we owe them allegiance.
You don't have to respond either.
Yeah, you don't
I got
have to
an email from
respond, but-
Drew, Winkelmeyer,
Winklemeyer, yeah.
sorry, I can't even say his name, Winklemeyer. But I haven't responded. I mean.
No,
he's-
that's what I
Just
chose to
To
do.
clarify, our bylaws and our board protocols do allow any board member to respond to the media on their own behalf. They do
Right.
not have the ability to respond on behalf
Right.
of the district, so. Like it or not, every board member has an opportunity to
Right.
respond to the media if they would like to
And
on behalf.
as
of-
well be asked questions.
Oh.
However, if they're asking about executive session matters,
Well, they printed something
They
from an
printed
executive session that was
session.
never even signed or agreed to and said it as truth. So they blatantly misled the public and they did that knowingly. And they had a contract that they sent to me that was never signed and it was never signed contract. It was nothing.
And
So
it was not released by this board.
it was not released by, it was, well, I mean, it wasn't released at all. It was nothing. It was a proposal that was shot down or that wasn't, that was never
Considered.
approved. And they printed it as fact.
Right.
And then they even failed to retract it online, but
It's
that
still up.
there's probably laws that protect people from newspapers printing false information about you to damage your reputation. And so we have that's already been done. And so if they continue to do that, I don't think we have to talk to them. I probably won't, but not right now for a while. And we can post our own press releases online. And if we're gonna have honest reporting,
Yeah.
even if it's negative, I appreciate honest reporting, even if it's negative. I don't appreciate slanderous attacks by you know,
And character
hacky journalists, you know what I mean?
yeah, and I agree with all of that, but what I'm saying is part of the job is they have the right to ask you, whether you respond or
Oh,
not,
yeah.
it's up to you.
I have no, but I wanted to explain so the public would know why I'm sure an article is gonna come out that we were given the opportunity to talk and refused to. And I want to explain publicly why I am not speaking to them because I have no problem with the public knowing why I did what I did, but I do have a problem having somebody take my words and drive their own agenda with it.
I agree.
Amen.
And on that note,
On that
well, I'm gonna say
That
one
very
more thing. There were 2 interviews that were done with our senator, on the radio, KQEN, that essentially alleged that all of the people who had quit this district had done so because of me.
Yes.
Those allegations are patently false, 100% false. And I would encourage the news, they've already received a statement from one of our prior board members emphatically disagreeing with that statement. And he said that he absolutely thought that we worked really well together as a prior board. The general manager also confirmed that she did not quit because of me. So there is false information going on around there and in that sector of the news. And I think the public should be aware of that. But I also just want anyone in our district, any of our riders, any of the people who work for Quad Public Transportation District, all the volunteers, to understand that we are fully committed to saving this district.
Absolutely.
We're not going to let these distractions from the media keep us from what our job is, which is to serve the public. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to keep our focus on that. And I understand it can be very frustrating, especially when you're giving your time every week to community service, that you are being attacked in the news. And I'm really apologizing for all the people who have been impacted by that, but we're gonna move forward. That's great.
And one
Yeah.
would question why the senator of our district, who is allegedly conservative and allegedly is very much in support of public transit, is doing everything he can to derail what we're doing.
Kathy, it's because he's in bed with the 3 county.
I actually.
All right, okay. We have an agenda to build, so the only thing I have for agenda build right now is our drug and alcohol policy.
Maybe also, I know Becky was working on the new employee handbook.
Employee handbook, thank
I
you.
believe she had a final copy of it. It's something I'll have to.
I'll have to look at that.
We need to discuss
Yeah, so.
starting the maintenance RFP. How many
Let's
parts
do
we
a
want that
list-
in?
A list of RFPs. Why don't
Yeah,
you
it's the
put it-
list of RFPs.
Do we have to do RFPs at the board level? Why don't we just,
Our procurement policy, some of that is you do not have authority for everything.
We'll have to
So
look at,
We'll have to
yeah,
look at
there's
each
gonna be s-
individual,
Yeah.
there's gonna
every individual thing, decide whether or not it needs to come to the board
Mhm.
for first for approval, but Sherry is gonna be our helper. She's like another thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does she feel like a piece of saltwater taffy if Annie pulls
I
me up?
just,
I'm sorry.
all right, anything else? Otherwise, I'll go back through the agenda, you guys, and look and see, you know, what needs to be added. If you guys wanna email me anything you want on the agenda, you know, you can do that. All right, what time is it? 7:49. Oh my gosh, we're way better than I thought. I'm gonna call the meeting adjourned.
Good job. Thank you.
Oh, Donna.